It's me, Dr. Cheryl, and my free course is here. Oh my Lord, I'm as excited as my dog ripping into a wrapped squeaky toy on her birthday. Yeah, I do that for my dog. But what I have for you is even better than a squeaky toy. I, for the first time ever, have created a free video and worksheet couples course. It's called Reboot Your Relationship. It is free. It is a series of 5 videos. You'll get one every other day or so. You'll get a worksheet. You can do it solo. You can do it with your sweetheart, wherever you are in your relationship, just dating on the verge of divorce. This is an extraordinary course where I take you through the 3 keys that all great couples need. I tell you why our relationships are failing and why, to some extent, long-term love is really struggling. I can't wait to help you. You can click below where you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, or you can go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, and you can sign up there for the free mini course, the starter course, Reboot Your Relationship. Is your relationship worth 20 minutes a day for a week? I know it is. Jump in. I can't wait to get to know you better. See you in the course.
Breaking news. Is long-term love dead? Divorce, affairs, boredom, and no passion. Couples are losing hope.
My husband never romances me anymore. I'm so lonely.
We used to have a great sex life. Now she always says she's too tired.
Experts state 30 to 40% of couples never make love. Only 9% say they are still excited about their partner, and 90% say they have ugly arguments.
I want to fix us, but I don't know how.
I lay in bed at night thinking, is this it?
This just in. Dr. Cheryl Fraser says passion can last a lifetime. It just needs a little help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cheryl, and it's true that it sure looks like long-term love is dead, but I'm here in this special podcast series to help you bring your dying relationship back to life. Let's get going right now. Have you ever said this? My partner won't go to therapy. I cannot get my partner to communicate with me. I'm doing all the work in this relationship. Dr. Cheryl, can you save a relationship all by yourself? Welcome to this episode of Sex, Love, and Elephants, where I'm tackling the very painful topic of how to deal with a reluctant partner. Okay, what should you do when your partner won't work on the relationship? Oh my goodness, I'm going to break this down into 3 topics today. The first one is about the emotional toll it takes on you when you feel like you're the only one doing all the work in the relationship. The second is I'm going to explain to you some of the reasons, and some of them are going to surprise you, why your partner may be dragging their feet and not stepping up to work on the relationship. It might not be that they don't care. And then I'm going to give you a bit of advice on what to do about it, how to approach your partner maybe a bit differently than you have been, and how to move to where you can at least begin to talking about things. And don't worry, I've got you covered. I'm here to help. You can please, first thing you do is get them to listen to this podcast if they will, because it will help them feel not like the bad person, because they're not. And it maybe will help them understand that although it's scary as heck, choosing to look at the issues in your relationship and look at ways to improve can bring almost exponential happiness to you both when one or both of you are struggling. And I've really got you covered because, as you heard off the top today, just this week, I've released for the only time something brand new to me for my audience, which is a free video course. I have the 12-week immersion program that I teach once or twice a year. This year, it'll only be offered in October 2025. And I very much hope some of you will choose to join me. I only take about 100 couples on that 3-month journey with me, where I coach you every other week and everything else. But I've really been thinking about how much couples are struggling, how the economy is struggling, how the world is struggling. And I decided to create a free course, which is just released. You can click below where you're listening and you can go just sign up for the course, confirm your email, you'll set up a password, and boom, you're in. And it's a series of 5 videos. They're each about 10 or 15 minutes long. You get one every other day. And along with each video teaching, you get a worksheet, which is going to give you some specific action steps to help moving things forward and also some really important questions to contemplate. I'll be talking more about the course over these next few episodes, but for now, jump in, be one of the first to enjoy the deep and profound and potentially relationship shifting work that is my new free Reboot Your Relationship course. You can, again, click to the link below or wherever you're listening to this podcast. You can also just go to my website, drcherylfraser.com, and you can sign up for the course there. Okay. First thing, it is so freaking painful to feel like you're alone in your relationship. Does this sound familiar to some of you? You keep bringing up, hey, babe, I miss you. We're not making love much anymore. And you're so busy with work and I'm so busy with my work. It's like we're missing each other. I miss what we used to have. And they're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm too busy. I can't talk to you right now. What is it like when the story in your head is, I'm the only one doing all the work, which then leads to a story in your head, which is, I don't think my partner cares about the relationship. It can also lead to an even more painful story in your head, which is, my partner doesn't care about me. Maybe they don't love me anymore. And then a story can proliferate, just like bunnies. I took my dog for a hike yesterday in a place where you didn't used to see bunnies. And every day we go there, now there's more and more and more bunnies. I'm not being facetious here. The stories we tell ourselves in our head, negative tends to breed negative. Fear tends to bring fear. The old adage, what you focus on expands, or seek and you shall find. When you are feeling that our partner doesn't seem to be very invested in our relationship anymore, they don't seem to make effort, they don't seem to create opportunities for communication. When I try to talk to them, they're kind of busy with their phone or their work or the kids or their basketball game or their pottery class. I am lonely in this relationship. It's so hard to feel like you're the only one doing all the work. And you'll notice my language. It's so difficult when you feel like you're the one doing all the work, but I keep using this word feel like because I don't know whether your partner is working hard or not. I don't know whether your partner would have a very different story than you. They might say, I don't know what my sweetheart's talking about. I think we're doing pretty well. I'm happy. I thought they were happy. We talk, we do things together. I'm emphasizing here that your felt experience is important and it needs to be validated that you feel alone in the relationship. What I can't say without working with you and your partner, start with the free course and then maybe you'll join me for the 3-month biggie this fall, is whether or not your partner is indeed checked out of the relationship, but you feel like they are. Here's some of the pain that comes with that. Oh my goodness, how lonely you feel. Waking up in the night, you're lying next to your sweetheart. They're snoring and you feel so alone. Trying to have meaningful conversations that fill you up and maybe connect you, make you feel emotionally safe and close to your sweetheart, and your partner answers with grunts. And by the way, this is not a male versus female problem. Anybody, male, female, LGBTQ plus, trans, whomever you are, however you love, it's not that men are checked out of a relationship in heterosexual relationships and women are always trying to connect. It's about 50-50 right across every way we love and who we love. So let's get rid of that old sexist trope right now. But it may feel to you that you thrive on communication and long meandering walks in the woods, making love, touching, cuddling, having fun together. Those are beautiful things. Your partner may or may not be wired the same way and be intrinsically seeking that type of connection. But here's the thing. Feeling alone is lonely. I will tell you a story. This was about 20 years ago. At the time, I was in a committed relationship with someone I thought would be my permanent partner. We lived together, which is a big commitment to me. I don't take it lightly because it's really hard to break up with someone 1 year living together. So I do not enter into a common law relationship quickly. So there we were. I'll call him B. B and I, we lived together. We'd been living together around a year and a half at that point, been together maybe 3 years. We commuted. He lived in one province over from me, and about once a month we'd get together for about 4 or 5 days. And then we moved in together over in British Columbia. We were not doing well. He was a lovely guy in a lot of ways. We had a lot going for us, but we just didn't have the skills. He was very, very different in his needs than I was. I was very different from him. And we cared about each other a lot. I'd say we loved each other quite a lot, but we just couldn't fill each other's needs. And we kept trying and arguing, and me mainly arguing and begging and asking and suggesting. And he was very withdrawn. No one was right. No one was wrong. We just weren't making it. And I so much remember waking up one night and he was asleep, and I was so anxious and so overwrought and so worried. And I got up and kind of tiptoed downstairs. We rented a house where the bedroom was upstairs and the main living was downstairs. And I went into the spare bathroom downstairs that we barely used because we had a nice big one upstairs. And I just started sobbing and sobbing. We're talking the ugly crying, as they call it now, which is a good way to describe it. Couldn't catch my breath, tears running down my face, eventually snot running down my face. I'm just keeping it real. And I was sort of standing with my hands on the counter, leaned over, just sobbing my guts out because I didn't want him to hear, and he was asleep. And I remember sliding down to the floor and sort of curling up with my knees, my arms wrapped around my knees, and just crying and crying and crying for the despair, the loneliness, the hurt, and the fear that we weren't going to make it. I didn't know how to make us make it. Despite at the time, even 20 years ago, I was a couples therapist and pretty damn skilled at it. But it's one thing to help others, and it's another when you're in your patterns and your triggers and your fears to see your way out of the lost dark forest. I eventually more or less cried myself out. And I stood up and I caught a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror, and my face was puffy and red. My eyes were swollen. I just looked like such a mess. And it was a moment of clarity of quite simply, I just can't do this anymore. So I hear you if you feel like you're alone in your relationship. In that particular relationship, there were some deeper issues and problems, and we did end up rather kindly and fairly and compassionately deciding to go our separate ways. But for you, I don't want you quitting just yet. Caveat. Of course, this does not apply if you're in a relationship that is physically abusive, emotionally abusive, there's ongoing addiction of any kind that the person absolutely refuses to work on, you or children feel any time that you're unsafe in any way, then you don't work on the relationship. Then you get a safety plan and you get the hell out of there and reach out for the help you need. I'm talking about if those deal breakers do not exist in your relationship, but you argue a lot or you don't talk much at all. You feel lonely. You feel like your priorities are different. You don't know what happened to the fun and the love and the joy you used to have, and you're really hurting. So the first topic today is this validation, my own story of it as well, the ugly crying in the bathroom, that it is one of the more painful things, not counting death and things like that, that we go through is deep uncertainty about our romantic relationship. Why is that so core to us? Because our romantic relationship is an adult version of what we needed as a small baby or toddler or child. We needed to feel safe. We needed to feel like we were loved. We needed to feel like our parent or parents would be there to protect us if bad things happened. This is called your attachment style. If any of you have ever taken first year psychology, I used to have the pleasure to teach first year academic psychology at universities and colleges for a couple of years. You might have heard of the Mary Ainsworth studies leading to the attachment theory research, etc. I'm not going to go into it right here, but we can definitely talk about it on a future episode. But essentially, you get a template more or less laid down when you're young, where you either feel quite internally secure when you're in a love relationship coming from your bond with your parents. By the way, whether your parents were terrific and loving and fairly consistent, or your parents were chaotic and disorganized and not consistent, doesn't necessarily predict your attachment style. It's not quite that linear. But I, for example, have what's called an insecure attachment style. Bummer for me and the 30-ish% of you listening that have a similar style, which is I feel most calm and open and stable and strong and flexible and happy when I feel really connected to my partner. So I love long conversations. I love cuddles. I love spending time together. Lucky for me, he enjoys a lot of those things as well, but we are, of course, different. So when you're in a love relationship and it feels like your needs aren't getting met, I want to circle back to this idea of the rabbits, the proliferating negative thoughts. You might start focusing on, not on purpose. You don't sit down with a notebook and decide to do this like in some vindictive way, but your mind will start seeking for what's not right. This is called the negativity bias of the human mind. And it looks for what's not working, what might be a problem, and what might be a danger. This is super helpful if you're hiking in the woods, or as I just was a few weeks ago, I was in Africa, in Botswana on safari, and we did a walking safari for a few hours with our guide who carries a big ass rifle in case there's a threat to life and limb by an animal, which you never want to have happen, because you never want an animal to have to be harmed, because dumb humans are out doing a well thought out hike. But things can happen. Where I live here on Vancouver Island, there's black bears and there's cougars, so things can happen. When you're out on a walk in Africa or in my backyard, it's good to be alert. It's good for the so-called negativity bias to be looking around to see what might hurt us. That's a useful survival skill. It's useful if your accountant or your surgeon is really good at looking for what's wrong and what needs fixing. Your car mechanic, for that matter, anyone, your employee. But when the mind starts seeking in your relationship for what's not working, what tends to happen is an overfocus, like a blinders situation, like we're shining a big flashlight on every single flaw and problem. And darling, like I said, seek and ye shall find. If you look for what's wrong with your partner, what you don't like about them, where they're letting you down, where you're unsatisfied in the relationship, most of the time you're going to find them. And those rabbits breed other rabbits. And before you know it, you're in a story that is so freaking painful and feels quite black or white. Like this relationship is in serious trouble. This relationship is doomed. And it's really, really painful. Here's what's tricky, and this will apply to some of you, and of course, not all of you. What would happen, and I challenge you to do this, if you deliberately started looking for, and even write them down, what's going right in the relationship? In what ways is your partner being a good partner? Are they a great parent? Do they consistently fill up the car with gas? Do they be quite patient about listening to your work concerns and kind of sitting and holding space while you narrate your day? Are they funny? When you're out with people, are they thoughtful and kind? And do they notice when someone's lonely at a small party and they go up and chat to them? Seek and ye shall find also works in the positive, where you deliberately look for things your partner does that you like or you admire or you care about. Now, if what's missing is it doesn't feel like they talk to me much, we argue too much, we're not making love, we're not having dates, those are clearly important things to address. But what I'm doing is, before we dive into why your partner might be reluctant, because we're talking today about what to do when your partner doesn't want to work on the relationship or refuses to communicate or doesn't think there's anything wrong with the relationship or runs away from conversations or is super reluctant to even admit that some of your concerns might be valid. What do you do? Well, first of all, I want you to know I see you, I hear you. It's super, super painful. I really want you to jump into the free starter course and invite your partner to watch it with you. And even if they won't watch it, watch the course anyway, because it's going to help you understand the phases of relationship and what I call the 3 sides of great relationship, the 3 keys to passion, the passion triangle model. And you can figure out that maybe you're actually strong in one of those areas, but you're suffering in the other 2. And that's where the work needs to happen. So first thing, it's really, really freaking painful to be in a relationship and feel like you're the only one doing the work. The second thing is I want to talk a bit about some of the reasons a partner might be reluctant or conflict avoidant or refusing to talk about it or dismissing your concerns. The first one I want to make really clear. It does not mean that your partner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, lover, spouse, husband, wife, whomever your chosen person, it doesn't mean that they don't love you. The fact that they are not, in your view, working on the relationship does not mean that your partner doesn't care about you. It does not mean they don't care about the relationship, and it does not mean they want to break up. Sometimes, and this may be a little hard to hear, sometimes the reason your partner isn't seeming at all motivated to work on the relationship is they're reasonably content within their life and their relationship. Their needs may be different than yours. They might be more intrinsically motivated, where they have a kind of inner ballast based on their work and their life and other things they do that fill them up. And while they love you and they're happy with the relationship, they may be baffled when you tell them you're unhappy. They may be confused. They may not see what you see as wrong because for them, it's not a problem. They may feel connected to you when you don't feel connected to them. They may be fairly happy with the way things are when you are not. So again, it can sure feel like your partner doesn't care about you or the relationship when from your perspective, they won't talk about it, work on it, or do the things you ask them to do. It may be that they, to be frank, at fair or not fair, feel like you're just never satisfied. And no matter how well we're doing, you find fault with it. And you need to look at whether there's some accuracy to that or not. It depends. Each person, each couple are different. So that's one reason your partner may not be motivated to work on things or talk to you about it, because they don't think there's really much problems and they're fairly content. And they think this is kind of all in your head or more something you need to look at. A second reason is they are afraid that if you look at the monsters under the bed, things will get worse. They're afraid, and this is a really common fear, even if you go for expert help like my couples program or the free starter course or to a really good couples and sex therapist, etc., that by looking at things, they'll start to fall apart more. They're afraid that if we kind of face the music, if we face the things that might not be working, we're going to realize we're really in trouble and maybe we won't make it. So in a strange and wonderful way, not wanting to look at what's wrong can be because they do want the relationship to be okay and they do want to stay together. And they're afraid if you look at it, it might fall apart. This is often not a particularly realistic fear, but it can absolutely be why some people just don't want to have those conversations. Tough conversations are tough. And how are you approaching tough conversations? Your partner may be reluctant to work on the relationship or talk to you about the relationship because you're approaching them, even if you're unaware of it and you super don't mean to, in a way that's critical, that they feel blamed or they fear they'll be blamed, or they feel like you're telling them it's all their fault, or they fear you might tell them it's all their fault. And they don't want to be the bad person. They don't want to be the one who's accused of being the one who needs to make all the changes and to grow and to be different and to make you happy. Your partner may be reluctant to work on the relationship because they've been unhappy for quite a while. And they've maybe tried to tell you about it, tried to work on it with you, and you've been the happier one and didn't really take their concerns so seriously. And now they're at the end of their rope. Let me talk about a couple that was in my program last year, the 3-month program. I'll call them J and J. J and J, here's their story. Heterosexual couple. The female had for about 6 years been over time trying to express that she was unhappy with their communication. There wasn't fighting or nastiness, but she just felt really lonely, like they didn't have deep conversations or connected conversations. They'd been having some real sexuality issues from her point of view. They weren't making love much at all. And the 1 or 2 times they tried to get on the same page and tried to have a healthy and happy and fun erotic encounter, it just didn't go well. She felt her male partner lacked confidence, that he lacked skill. She wasn't able to feel pleased. She was trying to express what she needed, and she felt that he just didn't get it. And it really, really, really hurt her. So they started avoiding sex altogether. And she, for several years, they had young kids during that time. They had, I think, about a 6 and a 4-year-old by the time they worked with me 9 months ago. And through that time, she'd pretty much focused on the kids and her career, and saw him as a pleasant roommate, a nice enough guy, and a good and loving dad, and kind of decided she just didn't get love and affection in the way she wanted it in this life, and she might stay together for the sake of the kids. It got worse and worse till finally she had a lot of feelings of hurt, which led to feelings of resentment and hostility. And she didn't really want much to do with him, although they co-parented and ran their basic lives really well. He finally got the memo, so to speak, and he's a lovely guy, that his wife was pretty much done with the relationship. And he scrambled, not because he was too little too late, but because he didn't understand. They weren't able to help each other understand how much pain she was in. So he scrambled to find help. And he found the Become Passion, the 3-month program. They joined last year and they did the 3 months with me. And then they joined my ongoing month-by-month program that graduates of the first program can join if they want. And he has worked so freaking hard to improve to be a better listener, to try to understand her more, to be more brave about sharing his inner world and his needs and thoughts that is really, really difficult for him. I'm so proud of him. He's working so hard. But here's the thing. His partner basically said, I'm pretty close to done. You found this Dr. Cheryl course. You found the Become Passion program. I mean, that's great. I don't really want to participate because I feel I've tried so hard for so long. I'm kind of done. I support you to learn. So he attended almost the whole program on his own. And she's not a bad person. She's a lovely person. And then he really started to show some improvements. He was more aware of her feelings and needs. He was more attentive. He was starting to slowly be able to express his own thoughts and feelings, which was really tough for him because of his family and his background and other things. And it took about 6 months of him working on things till she was a little less reluctant and was willing to consider joining him in working on the relationship. So sometimes your partner, and this is hard to hear, your partner may be reluctant because they've been trying for a long time and they finally have given up, and it can feel like it's too late to them. Your partner may be reluctant to work on the relationship because they frankly think that you're way overreacting, that you can't be happy no matter what they do, as I said earlier, and they just feel like paralyzed. They don't know what to do or where to start. They need guidance. It's, again, not necessarily that they don't care about you or the relationship, but they don't have a freaking clue where to start. Because let's face it, none of us get taught this stuff. If or when I run the world, I'm too busy to run the world. It's enough running this world. I would want to institute in grade school, in elementary school, that kids started to learn some emotional intelligence, to know when they're angry and what it means, and it doesn't give them an excuse to act badly, to know when they're sad and what it means, to have emotional boundaries. And then in high school, I would want everybody to learn fundamental communication skills, conflict resolution skills, and so much more. I definitely want there to be a deep and rich and beautiful sexuality curriculum in later high school, and talking not just about don't get diseases and don't get pregnant, but talking about pleasure and consent and respect and female orgasm and the clitoris and what porn can do to you as you grow and so much more. I would have all of us with much better knowledge and skills by the time we hit 16 or 17, but that's not the world we're in, and that's not what happened for any of us. So here we are. We don't know how the hell to fix our relationship. We don't even know how to identify what's not going right. So please, if you do nothing else today, sign up for the free starter course. After you sign up, you'll get the first video. Each video is 10 or 15 minutes long. You get a worksheet with some questions for you to fill out, and hopefully your partner will fill them out as well, that can really start some conversations, some beginning, gentle, important conversations where the two of you can at least start understanding better where the two of you are at. I'll talk about communication in that course. I talk about dating and thrill and fun and passion and why it's gone and why it leaves and what we can do to maybe bring it back. And I'll talk about sexuality as well. It's a great course. I'm super proud of it. You're going to really, really enjoy it. And it's going to bring up some tough stuff, because the real work has to look at the monsters under the bed. So in summary of this sort of second thing I'm talking about, the first was how painful it is to feel like your partner isn't working on things, to have that be your experience and your perspective. The second is there's a lot of different reasons your partner might be avoiding this topic and be so reluctant. And the third is, what can you do about it? First thing is, I alluded to this a little bit today, but I want to expand on it a bit. How have you lately been bringing your concerns up with your partner? I say lately because it may well be that for a while or quite a while, you brought your concerns up quite gently and quite kindly and quite fairly. But often what happens is people get to where they're so frustrated and lonely that they're very easily triggered. They're very easily negative, upset, anxious. It can be 0 to 60 in a few seconds. This is called negative sentiment override in some teachings, like from the Gottman Institute, where you're so kind of walking on eggshells and you're so hurt and there's so much kind of baggage, unresolved stuff, that you can very easily go from being in a good mood to being super upset very, very quickly. When I was towards the tail end of that devolving relationship with my former live-in partner, B, And that ended with me ugly crying on the floor and deciding we needed to call it quits and us then agreeing. I was teaching at a college that year. I was filling in for someone on mat leave and I was teaching psychology, and I had about an hour commute each way. And when I'd be driving home after teaching, I'd get to within about a kilometer of our driveway and I'd start to feel anxious. And I'd say, okay, Cheryl, when you get home, be nice to B. Don't be critical. Don't react. If he doesn't come to the door and give you a hug or whatever, just, show up with a good heart. And I would walk in the door, and whatever thing happened that was a trigger for me, he didn't come and give me a hug, or he didn't come down and say hi, or he was on the phone and didn't pay attention to me, none of which are capital crimes. But I was in such negative sentiment override. I was so raw. I was so hurt. No doubt he was too, that right away I'd be in a really negative space and I'd be critical or upset or anxious or saying, I can't believe it. You don't even care I'm home or whatever. It was not a good scene. When you approach your partner in the beginning about your relationship concerns, you probably did it fairly well. Like you probably said, hey, babe, I really miss you. I miss the fun we used to have. I know we're so busy with the kids and the big projects you've got going on and me renovating the basement. But I'm a little bit worried. I miss the fun we used to have. I feel like we mostly only talk about what Dr. Cheryl calls relationship or marriage incorporated, the mortgage and the kids and the dog and the new couch we're going to buy and what to do with your ailing mother. I don't feel like there's much us. And your partner may have been more willing to listen to that sort of concern. But chances are, if you're resonating with this podcast title and you're here listening to it, you feel like you've asked a bunch of times, and it may be that now you ask poorly. When you are critical, and criticism here will define as being specifically critical about your partner, specific and global. You never listen to me. You don't care about our relationship. You're never romantic. No matter what I do, you don't appreciate me. These are big accusations, right? They're global in that no matter what I do, like all the time, you never appreciate me. And there's probably not entirely a bunch of truth to that, because your partner may really appreciate the nice supper you made last night. My hubby does most of the cooking and I so appreciate all his beautiful cooking. So saying you don't appreciate me immediately makes me feel defensive, because I'm like, I super appreciate the cooking and I appreciate that you walked the dog for me when I recorded the podcast today. And I appreciate that you're funny. So what I'm saying is, do a self-analysis right now and scrutinize yourself. How are you expressing to your partner that you are upset about the relationship? Quite likely, you've brought it up what feels like 100 times to you and may have been, and now it's hurt and it's critical and your partner feels defensive and they withdraw and then they think you're overreacting or all the things I listed. They feel paralyzed. They don't want to look at it because it might get worse. They're afraid you're going to blame them. They're afraid if you work on it, it might fall apart. Or they are actually reasonably content in the relationship and they just want to run away from you being so upset. It's so complicated, isn't it? It's so painful, isn't it? So the biggest thing I want to say is, because your partner may be refusing to go to any couples therapy, they may be refusing to go to individual therapy. These aren't the be all end all, but they can certainly be helpful. I want you to practice approaching them, talking about the positives first and talking about what you miss about the positives you used to have. So, hey, babe, I'm really nervous to have this conversation. I know it's something we've argued about before. And I just want to start by saying, as distant as we've been and as upset as I've been, I still really love you. I really miss how we used to be. Do you remember when we were dating and you rented that sailboat and you took me on that romantic weekend? Do you remember making love on the beach and hoping no kayakers would come by? Do you remember how we used to laugh our asses off? I know it's been 15 years and I know life has changed a whole lot and I totally get that. And even now, we have such a good time when we go out with our friends, and we have such a good time when we play pickleball. And I love that we still both love hiking together. But babe, I'm really struggling with how sometimes we're pretty nasty when we argue. I'm really struggling with that we aren't making love much at all. I'm really struggling with missing you. I'm struggling with, it feels like all we do is work and care for the kids and the house. And those are so important. I love what we're building, but I just want to go freaking have fun with you. I know it's not reasonable for the responsibilities to disappear, but I want to look at our relationship because I love you. I value you. I think we can be a lot more happy than this. In your own words, as clumsy as it's going to be, talk about what is still good now. Talk about what you miss from before and talk about how you miss them. And you want the two of you, emphasize, right? The two of you to be happier and more connected and say, I don't really know how to go about it. I just know that we can be better than this and feel better than this. And I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm not saying that's going to magically turn the page and your partner's going to be, oh, of course, let's work on our relationship. This is an ongoing thing. You'll need to address it over and over again. But I really encourage you. It's not a magic wand, but it's a way to maybe start getting some good communication going about these issues. Ask them to watch the free Starter Reboot Your Relationship course with you. Or if the two of you are really in negative sentiment override and it's really hard to handle this together, ask them if they'll watch it separately. They can register on their own, so the videos will go to their email. You can register on your own, so the videos will go to your email, and you can watch them on your own. I much prefer you watch them at the same time. But I work with a lot of couples in crisis, post-affair, really disconnected, tons of ugly fighting, etc., where watching that stuff together would be too hard for them. Watch it on your own. Invite your partner to watch them on their own if they're not willing to watch them with you. They may decline to watch them at all. But here's what's so powerful. When there are monsters under the bed, what do we want to do? We want to get a flashlight, cautiously approach the bed, and shine the light under so we can see what we're dealing with. This is what the first big step towards renovating your relationship, to rebooting your relationship really is to take a look at what's working and what's not. In this short free course, you're going to get worksheets that will help you each write down what's working and what's not. You're guided through it. It's much more clear. And then to create an idea of what you want to improve and what that would look like 6 months from now if things were better and happier. You're then going to learn the 3 key areas that couples need to work on. You'll rate yourself, and your ratings might be quite different from each other on how you think you're doing in each of those 3 areas. You can even take a quick quiz if you like and get your scores back that way. Then I break down those 3 key areas in the 3rd and 4th and 5th videos and teach you much more about conflict resolution, communication, thrill and appreciation, and dates and fun. And we talk about your sex life, what's happening or not happening in the bedroom. Over 30% of couples in a committed relationship aren't making love at all. And the stats are that sexual sort of happiness, desire, et cetera, is declining these days. It's declining. Fewer people are happy with their sexual life. Many people have little or no sex. Is that a disaster? Not necessarily. It can be the right choice for a minority of people, but for a lot of us, it's a beautiful part of life we're neglecting. So in conclusion for now, how do I deal with a reluctant partner? First, take care of your own good heart. Practice some self-care. Know that this is really painful. Watch out for the proliferating rabbit stories in your head where the negativity bias makes the whole thing look incredibly bleak. You're in this relationship for a reason, and the stakes are really high. What is the cost of breaking up? Financially, emotionally, to your family, etc. What would it be like if you could stay together and be happier? What would be the gain there? And such questions like this, I encourage you to ask. And we ask some of them during the program. So the first thing is, it's really hard to be the one who feels like you're the only one trying to make this relationship work. The second thing is, there's a lot of different reasons why a partner might avoid dealing with the issues that you're struggling with. And a lot of them are about fear and avoidance and feeling they'll be blamed and feeling paralyzed and like they don't know how to fix it. They don't have the knowledge. That's where the starter course can at least give you some knowledge. And it does not mean that they don't care about you or they don't care about the relationship. And then the third thing I just talked a bit about was what to do about it. The C word is critical. You've got to communicate. You don't have to communicate like champions. It might be clumsy. It might be difficult. It might be emotional. You might need to have a whole lot of mini conversations. But if you don't look at those monsters under the bed, they can grow and they can grow and they can grow. And one of the saddest and most frequent reasons for divorce is we just grew apart. I'm the one who's here saying, if you're feeling like you're growing apart, now is the time Now is the time to gently look at that and say, hey, we're at least one of us really feels we're going apart. Maybe your partner will eventually agree or not agree. They have a different feeling, a different sense than you. But if you feel like your fitness is sliding behind, if you feel like you're getting way behind in renovating the house that you meant to have done 7 months ago, if you feel like you're really sliding behind in spending time with your kids in a meaningful way, you ideally start to change that. You ideally take a hard look at what's working and what's not working, and you decide to make some changes. So that's what we're going to be talking more and more about in the next several Sex, Love, and Elephant episodes. I'm going to have some great guests coming on again and so much more. But in a moment, we're going to close this episode with a love bite. But first, just let me remind you, get your butt to the free course. It's freaking free. Isn't your relationship worth 30 minutes a day for a week or so? I know it is. You know it is. So get started now. That brings us to today's love bite. Great love, great relationships are not an accident. It takes effort and intention to create long-term love that lasts. Let's get started together right now. Let's reboot your relationship. Thanks so much for listening. I so appreciate you being a fan of the show and finding some value in this work. I can't wait to be with you in 2 weeks. Until then, I remain Dr. Cheryl Fraser.